All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Witch on the Holy Night, aka Mahoyo. Last time, Soujirouu was getting settled in at the mansion. And basically, he was given a mission by Alco. Before the end of exams, he was to convince Alice to be okay with him living there. And it also seemed, judging by Alice's actions saving him from being trapped inside a mirror at the end of last time, that she's already warming up to him. Hello, S. Welcome to the stream. So, we'll see how Soujirouu can finish the job, because she seems like halfway convinced already. You're looking for a broom like the ones at school? Who's that? I'll give her the Serica voice.
Yeah, the cheaper the better.
Don't you live in an apartment? Who needs a broom in an apartment?
Well, you know, I've been wanting to clean things up a little. I could use some trash bags too.
Aren't you supposed to be broke or something? Whatever. Want to use my broom then? I'll lend it to you if you want.
Actually, I need it for longer than one day, so maybe it's best I buy my own.
Oh my god! He wants to give a witch a broom as a present. That's hilarious. Hello, Atfis, and welcome to the stream. Like Alice, I'm like... my. It's like... I'm struggling to think if this is racist or not. It's like... That's hilariously adorable.
I mean, I always wanted my own broom. Brooms are nice to have around, you know?
Soujirouu was on his way home from his part-time job after school. It was 4 in the afternoon, 2 hours earlier than his part-time job would have normally ended. The Mod Bear's head chef had gotten in trouble with the accountant for making a student work the day before exams. Thus, Soujirouu's boss had tearfully sent him home early. And that is when it happened. The interruption to his standard schedule must have been just the shock he needed. Normally, he would meet up with Alco after she was done with student council affairs and go home with her. However, today, Soujirouu was asking the other students who worked at the same place if they knew any shops in the area where he could buy a broom. God, what is wrong with you? People in the countryside are like so weird. Anyway, you know that nasty ramen place out near school? Just get to the end of that street and there's a hardware store called Okita. It's way cheaper than the home supply store at the West Station, as long as they have what you want anyway. Use my bicycle if you want. I don't care. I don't need until exams are over anyway. Sojirou's eyes lit up as if he had met a savior. But biking uphill to the mansion, let alone with a package to carry, was not a pretty thought.
いや、自転車には乗ってみたいけど、今回は遠慮するよ。じゃあ、また明日学校で。
I appreciate the offer, but I'll pass. See you at school tomorrow.
Saying farewell to his co-workers, he headed to the hardware store. He needed a cheap and sturdy bamboo broom and a large dustpan to go with it. If possible, a pushcart and stick for a splint would have been nice too. A splint? Does he have a broken leg? As it happened, Soujirouu wanted quite a few things. Alice returned to her work after waking up from her nap. Damn! Wow! A double-decker library. Holy shit. The Kwanji estate had an annex that housed a library. The library was filled with books handed down to her from her mother, so it was Alice's territory such that even Alco dared not enter. Hello, Chikosla. You can ask that on the Discord if you want. Limbus will not get another stream until probably Kanto 9, honestly. Oh my god. Yep, Beauty and the Beast intensifies for sure. You can ask it here if you want though, because yeah, I'm not gonna stream like for Walpurgis for Limbus because there is no story. there's not even a new gameplay for it, so yeah, there's no point really. Because there's no story event or gameplay event for it. So I guess the next one will be for Ryoshi's Kanto. Will be the next Limbus stream. You can ask it either right now if you want or on the Discord. If the mansion was a witch's abode, left behind the times, then the library was a fairy tale quarters lost to the ages. It was a natural sanctuary for the young witch who could command employees to do her bidding. She relied on her memory to recall the location of each book on the many shelves. And then she saw it. Upon raising her head, she was met with the most unusual of sights. Her elegant eyebrows bristled in distaste. From that moment on, she failed to accomplish anything she had planned for that day. She was instead forced to stare at the strange sight outside her window, eyebrows fixed in that position until the sun set. Let's see. Well. Moving into the grand mansion on the hill had not brought any major changes to Sojirou's day-to-day schedule. Thanks, Chikolslaw. Like a witch type dealio. I would love. That's what I would love. That is so sweet. Based on Beatrice Umineko. That is so sweet. Uh, that is so sweet, Chicosa. Oh, thank you. But yeah, I think that's what I would love to use as a base. He woke up, went to his part-time job, ate breakfast, and went to school. Classes came and went, still strange and new, broken up by rare and brief moments of rest until the school day ended. He left school, went to his part-time job, slept, woke up, and studied for exams. A modest life for a modest young man, continuing every day in the same fashion, despite his best efforts to change his fortune. But nothing ever really changes. Whether Alco was by his side in the mansion, as was frequently the case, or whether Alice was making him drink some potion she prepared before going to bed. The former was an attempt by Alco to make him feel better. The latter was some attempt to keep him safe, even if he did not fully appreciate it. Alice likes him already. I don't think she needs much convincing at all. Then, one day, a day like any other, while Soujirouu was pouring himself some tea as he worried over the lack of change in his life.
Oh, by the way.
His relationship with Alice was the same as ever. But there was one major change this morning. He was drinking black tea instead of green. Oh yeah, a big hat, more regal. Yeah, definitely. The big hat, more regal, and I think the weapon would be like a sniper rifle that looked like a long broom. You know the weapon of Gundam Calibarn? Kind of like that, but more like ornate looking. His relationship with Alice was the same as ever, but there was one major change this morning. He was drinking black tea instead of green. Though there were all sorts of different types of tea to be found in the kitchen, a newcomer to the world of tea like Soujirouu could not tell one of them from the next. Naturally, his tea-making skills were limited to tea bags, one of which he placed in his cup before returning to the dining table. Alice and Alco were already seated. The two were eating in silence. In this household, it was everyone for themselves when it came to breakfast. The diplomatic description of their breakfast would be simple. The more accurate description would be 2 slices of stale bread prepared in seconds. Oh my god. Alco exchanged a word or two with Alice, took a sip of tea, and stood up from her seat. Look at this beautiful breakfast area. Oh man. Since it was winter break for the high schooler Alice, she returned to her room after eating as she normally did, while Alco headed to the front door, shoes in hand, ready for school. After hurriedly clearing the table, Soujirouu rushed out the door after Alco. Together they walked down the long hill in the direction of school. They had spent 3 days following this very simple routine.
ところで、あれから動きはあった?
So, any word on you-know-who? School had ended and evening had arrived. buttered bread roll in one hand, Alice replied with a simple, silent shake of her head.
そう。ならあっちも次の手を考えているんでしょうね。魔術師本体の居場所は見当ついてる？
That's so. The enemy must be considering their next move too. Have they figured out where the mage is? Her response was exactly the same. Without showing the slightest sign of dejection, she continued to chew the roll and took a stab at her salad.
そう。私も試験が終わったら手伝うから、それまで悪いけど一人でやってて。今日からあのバカを一夜漬けにしなくちゃいけないんで、余裕ないの。
Okay then. I'll help you once exams are over if you can manage on your own till then. I have to help that idiot study, so my schedule's pretty warped. Alice's face grew dour as if she had something to get off her chest.
問題ないでしょ？アリスはもう休みに入ってるんだから、一日全部使えるじゃない。
Don't give me that look. You're on your winter break. You can spend all day working on it, can't you? Alice was indeed on vacation and could spend all day every day on her work as a mage. Yet she had spent the past few days holed up in the library instead. She was hardly devoting herself to dealing with the challenger, as Alco put it.
アリス？聞いてる？
Alice? Are you listening?
わかってる。今夜からそっちもやるから。
Yes. I'll get to work on it tonight. Sighing, she stood up. What was bothering Alice? And what was it she wanted to say? What had she been doing only 2 hours earlier? The young witch took her leave from the breakfast table without offering a single clue. Misaki High was a private school, and as such its winter break started earlier than public schools. The end of term ceremony was in mid-December, followed by a brief respite before next term began. Of course. That was if and only if they overcame the classic obstacle lying between them and an extended break from school, final exams. The radio continued its broadcast late into the night. A thermos of hot tea eliminated the need to venture down to the kitchen. An electric blanket kept away the winter cold, and a crab-shaped pastry staved off any dinner-time hunger. These were the lengths Alco had gone to. She needed to ensure that every aspect of her surroundings helped her pull a successful all-nighter.
期末試験1日目、ご苦労様。
Congrats on surviving the first day of exams!
それで、生まれ変わる覚悟できた？
Are you ready to leave your old study-ups behind and be reborn as a new student? Soujirouu nodded earnestly. Upon returning from work, he encountered not the mage he expected, but the Demon Student Council President Aozaki. Half a day earlier. The first day of exams were over, and Soujirouu was about to head back to the mansion when he put his plan to practice when...
今夜、私の部屋で監禁ね。
Tonight, I'm holding you prisoner.
夕方からのアルバイトは当然キャンセル。ちょっと本気であの点数はありえないから。
Your grades are simply unacceptable. Cancel your shift and any other plans you have. A cold blue grin greeted him in the hallway. Dang. Clenched in her fist was Soujirouu's exam paper. Mr. Yamashiro had no doubt said,
転校してきたばかりだし、しょうがないよね。
He only just transferred. We can't expect miracles.
but she had snatched the exam out of the teacher's hands the minute he tried to show her. That was how Soujirouu had ended up in Aoko's room, instead of the room in the attic to which he was accustomed. Though her situation was far from normal, at the end of the day she was an adolescent girl like any other. Naturally, she felt uncomfortable letting a boy her own age into her room. However, his grades were truly something that called for desperate measures. That explained why her mood was even worse than normal today, and the vein in her forehead was pulsing visibly with anger.
先に自分の復習済ませる。
I need to finish my own studies first.
あんたはそのテーブル使ってて。
You can use that table in the meantime. Aoko turned it back to him and sat down in her favorite desk. Soujirouu was left standing before a cheap-looking glass table.
なんかいろいろと慣れないな。
I'm still really not used to all this.
なあ青崎、この青いのなんだ？
What's that blue thing over there, Ozaki?
Oh my god, is she gonna play guitar for him? I can't believe he'd have never seen a guitar before. Restless, Soujirouu found his eyes drawn to the guitar, propped up in the corner.
なんか薄いし青いしとんがってるし、きっと青崎のことだし。
It's thin, blue, and intense looking. It's got your name written all over it.
もしかしなくても武器か。
Don't tell me it's some kind of weapon.
I can't believe you've never seen a guitar.
楽器よそれ。エレキはともかく、アコギは音楽室で似たようなのあったでしょ？あとこれ以上青々言ったら、そのとんがってるので殴るからね。
It's a musical instrument. I understand if you've never seen an electric one, but you must have seen an acoustic guitar in the music room. Keep talking, though. You'll soon see if it also works as a weapon. Soujirouu plopped himself down on a cushion, struggling to suppress the desire to retort that it was a weapon after all. Hello, Doors. Welcome to the stream.
ちょっとは落ち着きなさいよ。いつもは耳の遠い大型犬みたいに鈍感なくせに。
Don't play the
何か
victim.
気になるものでもあるの？
Usually you're as oblivious as an old and deaf dog. What's got you worked up this time? In fact, it was Aoko who was oblivious for once. For his part, Soujirouu could not figure out why he felt so restless either. Suffice it to say, they were both pretty clueless in this moment.
もしかして内装？この部屋の家具のグレードが今とは違うから不思議がってるのね。
Is it the way I decorated my room? My furniture is totally different to the stuff in the drawing room, so I understand if it seems a little weird.
ここ、ベッド以外は私の家から持ち込んだものなの。引っ越してから2年経つけど、まだ屋敷には馴染んでないでしょ。
I brought everything from home except the bed. It's been 2 years since I moved here, but I still don't feel like me and my stuff belong in this big old house. Though she misunderstood the real reason for Soujirouu's nervousness, Aoko seemed satisfied that she resolved Soujirouu's anxiety for the time being and returned to her studies. She flipped through her notes and textbooks as if fast-forwarding a tape. There was no opening for an outsider like him to intrude in her high-speed study session. Repelled by her intensity, he retreated to his table. It was at least sensitive enough to pick up on her desire to be left alone. It was a testament to Soujirouu that having his needs utterly ignored was now second nature to him, to the extent that he could now happily go about his business in solitude. Two hours passed. Then, as the clock neared 11, Aqua's speed concentration began to slip. Seeing this as his window of opportunity, Soujirouu seized the moment to strike up a conversation.
青崎、ちょっといいかな。
Azaki, can I talk to you for a minute?
何？
What is it? She spoke hesitantly, not bothering to turn to face him. She continued to flip through the pages of her textbook, albeit at a slower speed than before.
この3日間、青崎たちの夕食事情を見てきたけど、
I noticed how you and Alice have been acting at dinner these past 3 days, and
君たちの食事はいつもああなのか？
is it always like that?
そうだけど、おかしい？
Yes, it's normal. Do we not look normal?
そう言われると困るな。
Huh? I'm not sure how to answer that.
ただ学校じゃみんな楽しそうだった。誰かと食事をとるってことはああいう風になることだって思ってた。だからもしかすると。
It's just at school people seem to enjoy eating together, so I thought it was strange that the two of you don't seem like you enjoy it. And I thought maybe it's because you know.
もしかしないわよ。別にあんたのせいでアリスと話さないわけじゃないわ。私たちはいつもああだから。
Don't worry. It's not because of you that we haven't been talking at meal times. We've never even talked to each other. We've never talked to each other during meals. Alka spoke calmly with her back still turned, seemingly unaware of what he was getting at.
張り詰めた食卓だな。
Well, it can get pretty tense.
青崎とアリスは仲がいいと思ってたのに。
And here I thought you two were close friends.
She neither confirmed nor denied his statement. She was, however, surprised by the disappointed tone in which he had made it.
張り詰めた食卓っていうのは合ってるわね。
You're not wrong. It can get tense.
アリスが何回あんたの飲み物にメスカリンを入れてたかなんてもう覚えてないし、昨日なんか堂々とサラダの中に7カマなんかもあってるし。
What is mescaline? Now that's something I've never heard of. Mescaline and Rowan. Are those Japanese condiments or something? I'm not sure exactly what those are, but I can't remember how many times she put mescaline in your drink. And yesterday she was adding Rowan to your salad.
ほんと、あの子何考えてるんだろう。
Beats me what the hell she was thinking. A bitter smile spread across her face in reminiscence. The pages of her textbook continued to turn.
メスカリン？
サボテンから
Oh,
取れる
good, he asked!
アリスが使うん
Thank
じゃ
God!
ただの幻覚剤じゃないでしょうけどね。と、私はこんなもんでいっか。
Mescaline. What's that?
It's a hallucinogenic alkaloid produced by the peyote cactus. I'm assuming it's more than just your average hallucinogen if Alice is using it, though. And I'm done.
She slipped me drugs!
Oh my God. Oh my God. It makes sense that Soujirouu would know. I didn't know either. So it's a drug. Okay. I see if the other one is also a drug. With that, she slammed shut her fourth textbook of the night. After having scarcely changed of position the whole night, she finally turned in her chair to face him.
さあ、今度はあんたを仕込まなくちゃね。
Now it's time to put you to work.
今日の4科目の答案、実に総十郎らしい出来栄えでそっと押しそうになったわ、私。
I knew what else I was expecting, but I still almost fainted when I saw your scores. Her tone was light, but her gaze was heavy as she stared at Soujirouu, seated cross-legged on the floor.
原告、地理、数学、電子工学。
Modern literature, geography, math, and electronics.
あの調子であと2日続けたら冬休みが消えるのは当然でしょうね。そうなると困るのは私なのよ、実際。
If you don't up your grades over the next 2 days, your winter break is as good as gone. And that'll be more of a problem for me than you.
いや俺も困るぞ。休みなのに学校に行くのはなんか気が乗らない。
I disagree. I think it'll be worse. Going to school during the break would not work out for me.
Soujirouu calmly corrected her.
そりゃあ私のセリフだ。あんたが学校に行くってことは必然こっちまでとばっちりが来るっての。
For you! If you have to go to school over the break, what do you think will happen to me? All she could think about, as much as she tried not to, was Mr. Yamashiro and his annoying grin.
それ以前に私の目が黒いうちはオール赤なんてやつは許さない。
I cannot allow any student to fail every single class. Not on my watch.
本来なら少年から叩き直すところだけど。
Damn, she's a better teacher than the teachers. Jeez. I bet if she never became a witch, she would probably become a teacher. I bet. If I could beat good grades out of you, I would.
ま、あんたはいろいろ事情があるから、とりあえず点数だけで勘弁してあげる。
Lucky for you, you have extenuating circumstances, shall we say. So I'll give you a pass just this once.
私もテストは一夜漬けで片付ける方だから、あんた一人仕込むのにそう時間はかからないだろうし。
A good all-nighter is usually enough for me to prepare for exams, so it shouldn't take too long to get you up to speed either. Soujirou's expression openly soured in response to her declaration. It was obvious he did not think he needed her meddling in his studies.
あんたね、苦労するのは私とあなた。どっちだと思う？
Oh my god! She's so tsundere. Oh, please. Which of us do you think is gonna have the harder time of it? Me or you? So cute. Such a cute story. Oh my god. Soujirouu got the feeling that it would be him, but he nodded slowly nonetheless. Then again, it would probably take more effort on her part than his. And in any case, he knew there was no way to talk her out of it.
この度はご迷惑をおかけします。
I feel bad for making you do this.
Soujirouu summarily bowed his head to show gratitude and willingness to work.
よろしい。
Good.
安心なさい。私だって鬼じゃないから。
And don't worry, I'm not a demon like they say.
別に平均点狙うってわけでもなし。予定通りこなしていけば3時には眠れるわよ。
You can get less than average marks and still pass. You'll probably be able to go to bed by 3. She nodded with satisfaction. Pleased by a studious attitude. He had plenty of obstacles ahead of him, but that sense of humility might be enough to see him through.
何仏心出してるんだ私。
Wait, what was I thinking? I can't afford to be this soft on you!
いいしずきくん。この後頼られちゃたまんないから釘刺しておくけど、私がマンツーマンで誰かを仕込むなんてことめったにないから。
Suzuki, let me be straight about this. Temporary arrangement. It's not every day I offer private one-on-one lessons like this.
これはあくまで異例中の異例だって覚えておいてね。
This is beyond rare, an exception among exceptions. And don't you go forgetting that! She spoke more to convince herself than him, but his expression still darkened. It made one want to hang a sign around his neck that... Oh, that's a typo. Should be sign. Hang a sign around his neck that read, "Please take me home," like an abandoned pet. Aoko chided herself for being so soft. For some reason in that moment, she recalled that it had been raining the day they met each other. Time passed like the falling grains of an hourglass. Finished. Aoko squinted as light poured through the window as she downed another cup of tea. She had lost count of exactly how many she had drank long ago.
一晩かかったね、大崎。
And it only took the whole night, eh, Ozaki?
Soujirouu picked up on what she left unspoken. Aoko had used up all her pep. And staying up all night, but also in shouting at him. He looked pale and uncomfortable, just as he had all night long.
甘く見てたわ、あんたのこと。
I underestimated you, Soujirouu Suzuki.
だから褒めても何も出ないって。
Come on, Ozaki. You know I get weirded out when you complimented me.
And thus now the factual statement has arisen. Soujirouu spent all night in Alice's room. With her. God. I wonder if this factual statement will be used. Let's see.
ある意味褒めるに値するかもね。
No, no. You deserve a pat on the head. She was at the end of her rope, but she could not help the bit of pride that swelled up in her. His lack of even the most basic comprehension was shocking, even taking into account his upbringing in the wilderness. His ability was that of a middle school student, and that was being generous. Yes. She didn't let him sleep all night. Yes. Preparing him for exams by teaching him new concepts and ideas was a waste of time. Rote memorization was his only hope for passing. His epistemological level is level 1. Everything he memorized could have collapsed like a house of cards afterwards for all she cared, so long as he remembered for his exams. Assuming he had the capacity to be a good student in the first place had been her mistake. It took all night to cover the content for just 4 exams, and she still did not feel confident he could apply what he earnestly tried to memorize. Well, that's more than half of them, I would think. Like how many classes would you have in one semester at most? Like 6 or 7, right?
あんた暗記するのに時間かかりすぎ。
I appreciate your effort, but you just take too long to memorize new information.
そこは多めに見てほしい。今まで頭より体で覚えることの方が多かったんだ。
Hello, Oddjars. Welcome to the stream.
Come on, go easy on me. I'm used to learning things with my body, not my head.
Alka let out an exasperated sigh. Oh my god. Naturally, physical prowess mattered more in mountain life than the intellectual kind, but still.
まあいいわ。これで山城からあんたの成績について相談されることもないでしょうし。
Who's Toko? Oh, you mean oh, you mean Danganronpa Toko. Yeah, I was like, there's no Toko in this story. Hello, Atam, welcome to the stream. Yes, I do. She is my spirit animal. That's why she is my profile picture on YouTube. Danganronpa Toko. I love her. Jeez. Whatever. At least now you should do well enough to satisfy Yamashiro.
紅茶もう一杯入れてくれる？
Mind making me some more tea? Soujirouu stood up and obeyed, as Aoko stretched her aching back. She had apparently brought the tea bags in bulk, so there was still plenty to use.
まったく無駄遣いだな、青崎は。
Good grief. Yada yada daze. This is so wasteful.
He spoke under his breath so she wouldn't hear. It made him somehow happy to see her so tired and unfocused after the grueling all-night lesson she had given him. It did not cross his mind that the excess tea bags, far from being indulgent purchase, were purchased intentionally to sustain them through the night. A relaxed expression came across Aoko's face as she watched him, naive and peaceful as could be.
悪くないけど、せめてリーフティーで入れられるように仕込まなくちゃダメかな。
Yes, it is, Atam. It is my very first Type Moon visual novel. I have in the past played some of the original Fate Extra, as I've also seen the original Fate Stay Night anime from way back when, and that's my extent of Type Moon knowledge. Not bad. But I should teach him how to make it from tea leaves instead. Seeming to have overheard her not so inner monologue, Soujirouu made to face her.
やっぱり味は違うのか？
Does it really make a difference?
違う違う、もう全然。
Yeah, big time!
正直私はどうでもいいんだけど、アリスはね。
Oh, here we
あなた
go.
お茶にはうるさいよ。
You can make tea for Alice. Only some of it. Yeah, I just could not stand the gameplay. I'm sorry. Fate Extra, I tried. I was interested in the story, but the gameplay at one point just broke me. The gameplay of Fate Extra just absolutely broke me. I'm looking forward to the remake. I am absolutely looking forward to the remake, though. Like, I just could not stand the gameplay of Fate Extra. Although, honestly, I don't really care. Alice is the only one who's really picky about her tea.
そうだ。宗十郎、アリスとうまくいってる？
Which reminds me, how are things going between you two? Aoko cheerfully slumped over the table, not covered with textbooks and scribbled notes. Soujirouu watched her with a hint of resentment in his eyes.
彼女と会えるのは食事の時だけで、食事と言ったらあれだろう。 どうやって仲良くなれって言うんだ。
We only ever see each other at dinner. And you know how that goes. Honestly, I don't know why I should bother getting along with her.
そう？私は十分脈ありだと思ったけど。
Oh, really? And here's me thinking you'd have lots of motivation to play nice.
そっちはアリスを怖がってないし、アリスはそっちを追い出す理由を見つけようと躍起になってるし。
It's not like you're scared of her, for one. Plus, she's looking for any reason to kick you out.
いい条件よ、これって。
Sounds like a great reason to make nice if you ask me. Hello, Duskblight. Welcome to the stream.
全然わからないな。
Are you sure about that?
あの子とこっちの関係は遊園地前の青崎と俺の関係と同じじゃないか。一体どこがいい条件なんだ？
Because to me, it feels a lot like me and you before everything at the amusement park. How is that a good reason?
とりあえず反目し合ってはいないでしょ？
My point is, there is no hostility between you, right?
一方通行の関係だけど、それはそれ。アリスにしちゃ上出来っていうか、理由を探している時点で可能性ありってね。
It's a one-sided relationship, but that's not actually bad considering this is Alice we're talking about. You have a chance as long as she hasn't found a reason to off you.
あの子は反感に応えることが癖になっちゃってるから、大抵相手を自滅させちゃうのよ。
She's usually quick to respond to hostility, and it's her enemies that usually end up destroying themselves. Her ominous words only confused Soujirouu further.
知ってしまえば単純な話なんだけどね、あの子の場合。
Once you understand that, it's actually pretty simple.
ただ、
Except whether or not he could put it into practice was another story altogether.
難しいよ、青崎は。
Sounds like a difficult situation then, Aozaki.
He carried their teacups back to the table as he spoke. Alko picked hers up and took a sip as if to dispel her exhaustion.
でも、確かに君の言う通りだ。
But I think you're right.
俺はまだあの子の顔しか知らない。クオンジ・アリスという名前すら定かじゃないのは問題があるね。
I just realized something. I wonder if the unusual spelling of Soujirou's name is significant. Because that's not usually how you spell Soujirouu or Suzuki. I wonder if that like means something somehow.
I still don't know her at all. The problem is my knowledge of Alice Kwanji ends with her name.
Oh wow, I didn't know there was going to be an anime. They have a high bar to set if they want to even come close to the quality of the visual novels visuals. Like, my god. That is a high bar. He followed Alko's lead and took a sip of his own. His cup contained not tea, but plain hot water. Ugh.
あの子のこと教えてほしい？
Huh. Well, would you mind letting me tell you a bit about her? Nice. Alko scrutinized him carefully as she sat. Most boys would have been captivated by her gaze in that moment.
いや、そういうことは本人に聞いてあげるべきだと思う。
No, I think I should ask her myself.
But he ignored her and stared straight ahead, as speaking directly to Alice herself.
そうね。
Fine.
ほんと、あんたってアリス好みの対応をするわ。
You really wanted her to do this her way, don't you?
ねえ、前から気になってたけど、 客室でアリスに何を言ったの？いくら私との約束とはいえ、あの子が部外者を半日も放置するなんてありえないのよ。
Speaking of which, what exactly did you say to her in the guest room? I know she and I have an agreement, but I've never known her to just ignore a visitor for half a day. He thought back to that moment. He could recall only 2 or 3 words he exchanged with Alice after awakening in the guest room. He did not recall the conversation being anything special, but he could not bring himself to casually share it with Alco now. It was about his mysterious bandages. After all,
ねえ、どんなセリフであの子の気を変えたの？
hey, what'd you say that had such an effect on her? Alco eagerly pressed him for answers. Soujirouu frowned, unsure of what to say. He did not know what the interaction had been like for Alice, but for him it had felt special, sacred almost. The question was, why and for whom was he so concerned?
ほら、白状しなさいってば。隠し事なんて似合わないわよ。
Come on, just tell me. I can tell you're just dying to let it out. Her disconcerting smile moved even closer. Soujirouu did not look like he was about to stay silent much longer. As he would eventually come to realize, Alco Ozaki had a sometimes troubling propensity to gossip.
まあ、あの子と何を話したかは言わないけど。
Well, I can't tell you what we talked about.
今の青崎に比べれば、花もロマンもなかった。
Oh! Wowzers!
But I will say that she wasn't as flirtatious as the way you are right now.
Oh my god!
さっきまでは青崎が鬼みたいだったから、いいもんだなって気がつかなかった。
After how strict you were earlier, I didn't realize you had such a friendly side.
This is the dare of the Soon, Soujirouu. He stared directly into her eyes as he spoke. Alco nearly left out of her seat in panic. Now that he pointed out, she realized their bodies were practically touching.
仕方ないでしょ。この方が効率よかったんだから。
So you noticed, huh? I was just using the most effective way to break you, of course.
あんた、横にいないとすぐ間違えるし。
And besides, the moment you leave my side, all hell seems to break loose. Alco stood up as she laughed back at him.
そうだね。なんか昔みたいで、久しぶりに集中できた。
These two are so funny. They're very funny.
You got me there. I haven't felt so focused in years.
これが異例中の異例っていうのが本当に残念だ。
Too bad this was just an exception among exceptions.
余裕あるじゃない。その分じゃ今日のテストだけじゃなく、アリスとの話し合いもうまくいきそうね、Soujirouu.
Well, look at you, Soujirouu. Before you know it, you'll be acing your exams and your relationship with Alice.
あ、それはもちろん。
I will, Aozaki. Don't you worry.
His cool response caught her off guard, and for a moment she was at a loss for words. She meant it sarcastically, and yet he responded with a warm smile.
方針変更だ。まずは近くで話しかけてみるよ。嫌なことはいずれ終わるって分かったから。
I'm gonna change my strategy. The first step, engage her directly. You can't stay mad forever, as they say.
Alco remained in a state of silent shock as he spoke and rose to his feet. She could not help but feel a reluctant respect for what seemed to be his newfound confidence and competence.
とりあえず今日は一人で帰ってアリスと話してみる。
I'll go home by myself today and speak to Alice.
青崎は放課後生徒会だろ
You have a student council meeting after class, right?
He was right. It was their last meeting before winter break. Normally, he would have waited until the meeting ended, or else gone straight to his part-time job. This was part of Alco's plan to make sure he and Alice were never alone in the mansion together.
待った。まさかあんた、一人でアリスとやり合うつもりなの？
Hold it. You mean you're planning to face Alice by yourself?
別にやり合うつもりはないぞ。し合っても勝てないだろう、アリスには。
You make it sound like we're gonna get into a fight. I wouldn't stand a chance, you know that.
His reply made complete sense, which floored her.
でも、青崎がいたら話が複雑になるのは目に見えてるんだ。そんなわけで、今日はゆっくり飛び丸の相手でもしててくれ。
Even I can see that things only get more messy when you're around, Azaki. That's what I'd appreciate if you take your time with Tobimaru today.
Damn, ouch.
本気？
Are you serious? He felt like he was being tested, but nodded nonchalantly nonetheless. Knowing how grave the situation really was, Alco was not sure how to respond to his apparent lack of concern. The morning light coming through the window marked a stark contrast between the two, which stood bathed in light, which lurked in darkness. That went without saying. The silence lasted for only a brief moment. Staring at him gravely, she said,
そう。なら止めはしないわ。
Fine. Then I won't stop you. That was all she had. Her dry tone hid the significance of their pregnant silence, not revealing the slightest sign of discord.
なんか怒ってないか、青崎。
Are you sure you're not angry, Azaki?
別に。それで何か考えはあるの？下手な考えは通じないわよ、あの子には。
Yes, I'm sure. But do you have some kind of plan? You need a good plan of attack with her, you know. Soujirouu furrowed his brow in deep thought. He knew it would be hard to get close to her through talk alone. In fact, it felt nearly impossible.
言葉で落ちないやつは物で釣れ。
Guesswork where words fail.
Konomi had been the voice of wisdom and folly for him countless times in the past, and that's why he's getting the broom. Oh my god. Incidentally, Konomi had been referring to Aoko at the time he shared that pearl of wisdom. But Soujirouu has a distinct impression that trying to buy Aoko's kindness with gifts would not end well.
だいたいアリスの真偽もわからないじゃないか。
I don't know what kind of stuff Alice is into.
考えてみると、今の自分と彼女はまるで接点がない。
We probably have almost nothing in common.
Soujirouu crosses his arms at a loss.
いつものことだけど、何も考えてなかったわけね。
In other words, you haven't gotten any plan as usual.
うん。でもまあ、あれこれ考えなくてもいいと思う。
Right. But I don't want to overthink this too much either.
アリスにはあれこれ説明するとか、分かってもらおうとか、そういうんじゃなくて、なんていうか。
It's not like I'm gonna explain things to her and then she'll suddenly understand. I mean...
He pondered intently as he tried to put his vague thoughts into something concrete. But he did not spend much time in thought. With a nod, he concluded.
要は、俺が彼女を好きかどうかってことじゃないか？
What's more important is whether I like her or not. right?
He articulated that which is often so hard to say, with surprising clarity and calm. It was certainly a prerequisite for the task he hoped to achieve. Yeah, he barely knows her. He had no hope of making her appreciate him with words, or with acts of giving, with the exception of his reciprocation. He simply wished to get to know her better because he liked her. That was his honest, uncontrived intention, and it reflected the purity of his heart. But whether that was in his best interest or not was another story altogether. Calculation and compromise, selfishness and conflict. Purity such as his often irritated people who believed that morals went against human nature. Or rather, people who were inevitably forced to believe it. Alko silently walked away without responding to what Soujirouu said. Her long hair swung from side to side as she passed him. I love her clothing, by the way. Like, seriously, her fashion is like, seriously. I would wear all her clothes. I love everything she's wearing.
Ozaki?
Ozaki?
Noting her strangely cold manner, he called out to her. However, she was already opening the door to leave.
下でシャワー浴びてくるから、あなたは自分の部屋に戻ってて。
I'm gonna take a shower downstairs. You can go back to your room. Her words lacked any expressive inflection. In his confusion, all Soujirouu could do was nod.
いいけど、やっぱり怒ってないか、青崎。
Okay, but are you sure you're not mad?
Emotion returned to her face as he spoke. Yet it was not the typical irritated look to which he had grown so accustomed.
そうね。あんた流に言えば、多分私は怒ってる。
I guess I might be what someone like you would call mad.
何に対してのものかは、あんまり言いたくないけど。
I'd rather not discuss the reason why, though. For Soujirouu did not even realize that he himself was the reason. She looked at him, and for an instant he witnessed an emotion on her face of which he had never seen the likes of before.
じゃあね。これが最後になるかもしれないから。
Oh,
お
damn.
別れぐらいは言っておくわ。
See ya. This might be the last time we meet, so I should say goodbye. She really thinks Alice is gonna do him in.
あなたはアリスを甘く見すぎてる。
You take Alice far too lightly, you know.
でも、それが同時にあんたの強みなのよね。私たちには毒にしかならないけれど。
For you, that's a strength. But for us, it's pure poison. The door slammed loudly shut behind her. Her steps were audible as she walked away on the other side of the wall. The corridor must have been nearly freezing without any central heating, but Alko seemed perfectly comfortable.
なんで私から出ていくんだ。
Oh, that's right, it's her room! Wait, why am I leaving first?
順番が逆。普通先に出てくのはそっちじゃない。
This is all backward. My room, you go first! Oh my god. Alko promptly kicked Soujirouu out of her room. Once again, the wooden door closed with a slam. he's not as cold as he expected. Not quite as bad as a freezer, at least. The second day of exams ended, and Soujirouu was on his way back to the mansion. The road grew steeper and the woods thicker as he made his way up the familiar slope. People in town called it not a hill but a mountain, simply because it took over 20 minutes to climb. He's getting a lot of exercise. This did not sit well with Soujirouu, for whom a mountain was something that could not be overcome so easily. The road was paved, for one thing, and the canopy overhead left plenty of sunlight to guide the way. None of the inclines were especially steep, and no animals lurked in the underbrush. There was no chance of losing his way. No reason to worry about getting lost.
How sad. I'm still complaining.
Soujirouu quietly reprimanded himself for getting so wrapped up in his own little world. In the past few weeks since moving here, he had been constantly comparing the town with his former mountain home. Normally he would not get upset over it, but in recent days, since meeting Aoko, as it happened, he had become rather hung up on the differences. The reason for this eluded him, but he knew that Aoko was a force that could not be stopped. Yeah, I thought it was a bit low too. Let me make it louder. This naturally made him want to quicken his own pace. The mansion where they both lived was the antipathy of her lively personality. It stood out like a sore thumb, even in a town like Misaki. Some people said it was haunted. There were no ghosts per se, but it was inhabited by magicians, so their claims were closer to the truth than they could have possibly known. Hello, Saw. Welcome to the stream.
そういえば幽霊と魔法使いっていうのはどっちが常識外れなんだろう
Speaking of which, I wonder, between ghosts and magicians, which would be more surprising?
Lost in contemplation as he was, the boy failed to notice how his own lack of familiarity with city life played into the equation. In any case, none of his pondering changed what needed to be done. Tomorrow was the last day of exams. That meant he only had a little longer until Aoko stopped taking responsibility for his safety. If possible, today was going to be the day where the mansion's owner accepted his continued residence there. Soujirouu slipped between the trees encircling the mansion and walked down the naturally tree-lined avenue that led him to the front door.
よし
Here goes.
Taking a deep breath, he stepped across the threshold. The drawing room was where he expected to find Alice. However, he found himself face to face with the most unexpected scene. A few steps in, he arrived at the large foyer extending from the mansion's entrance. But one thing was clearly out of place. The foyer of the mansion was like a hall in a medieval castle. It was illuminated by the cold winter sun, casting down through the skylight, unaided by artificial light. The wooden tiles smelled of the outdoors. And there was Alice, dressed in all black, huddled against a column so enormous it resembled a sharply cornered tree trunk. What is she doing? She's sitting on the floor? The mansion was quite literally supporting her frail body. What's going on? Like a mother's lullaby or a gently rocking cradle. Yeah, she's asleep. The heavy atmosphere within this old building suppressed even the slightest stir, almost as if warding away any disturbance to her slumber. Hello, Saya, welcome to the stream. Why'd she fall asleep there? There she slept in the shadows of home. Hidden away from outsiders, her sleeping figure was enough to mesmerize anyone who laid eyes upon her. Hello, Raimi, welcome to the stream. Soujirouu instinctively looked up at the ceiling out of sheer awkwardness. He wanted to surprise her, but not in this way. Her slender frame lay asleep by the fireplace. The scene was as beautiful as a painting, yet hard on his heart at the same time. Her slumber seemed breathless. She was too still, with not even a hint of movement. And yet, slumped against that frigid column under the cold winter sky, happiness appeared to be her blanket. A passerby would not be blamed for thinking she was in that most peaceful state of eternal slumber. Death. Well, surely she's not actually dead.
She must be pretty cold.
Soujirouu spoke to himself as he gazed idly upon her. Bringing her a blanket or something warm did not seem to so much as cross the boy's mind. Really, that's what I thought he was going to do. Instead, odd as it sounds, the first thing he thought to do was go prepare some tea. That'd be cool. I think the happiest ending would be for him to live as their, like, butler or housekeeper. I think that would probably be the happiest ending to the story. He made sure to be as quiet as possible as he opened the drawing room door. On the table, waiting for him, were 3 pills. They were the medicine Alka required him to take every day when he arrived home. Gulping down the vaguely sweet pills and continuing on to the kitchen, he selected a box of tea from among the many in the cabinet and brewed enough for 2 people. Alice was still asleep when he returned to the foyer. Careful not to make any noise, he crouched close to the ground. He was startled by how cold the floor felt through his pants. He thought that it'd be warmer here by the fireplace, but then again he recalled how Alco referred to it as a useless hole in the wall. Most likely the case was that neither she nor Alice knew how to use it properly. Oh wow! Like a whole full-on like tea and snacks. After taking the teacups from the tray, placing one in front of each of them, Soujirouu carefully pulled his textbooks on classical literature from his satchel.
青崎、怒ってたからな。
I better get to work or Ozaki will get mad at me again.
Wow. What a setup. He could still see her angry face from this morning. The reason for her anger was still as much a mystery as the unusual look he saw briefly come across her face. She was mad because he was doing something that she saw as suicidal. In any case, one thing was certain. He needed to start studying for tomorrow. Thanks to Aoko's instruction, today's exams went well enough, but tomorrow's would be an even more formidable challenge. After how angry she was this morning, he could not expect her to help him again tonight.
そのくせ点数悪いと怒るし、別に青崎が怒る筋合いじゃないと思う。
Which means I'll probably do poorly and then she'll get mad at me again. Not that my grades have anything to do with her in the first place.
He complained under his breath as he cracked open his textbook. Apparently, he intended to spend his time in this fashion until Alice finally awoke. The sound of the pages turning was the only audible noise in the grand hall. There was no ticking of clocks or rustling of leaves to disturb her sleep. After a few hours, Soujirouu quietly rose to his feet. The light that filled the foyer was beginning to turn from white to red.
そろそろバイトの時間か。
Time to go to work.
He glanced again at Alice as he stretched his stiff back. She slept in perfect stillness, just as she had this entire time. Are we gonna find out why she's asleep there? I wonder. Soujirouu arched his brow in speculation. He had no idea what her normal sleeping schedule was like, so he had no idea as to whether he should wake her.
いや、青崎も帰ってくるだろうし、いらぬ世話かな。
Never mind. Ozaki will be home soon anyway. She'll be fine.
As if reaching the end of a long train of thought, Soujirouu gave a quick nod of his head and took his leave of the mansion. Today, work was at a shift at the Chinese restaurant in Misaki's shopping district, the Mad Bear. Their uniforms have been made by someone with an obvious preference for garish colors. The orange apron was emblazoned with a cartoonish polar bear, slashing a walk-into with its powerful claws. The design resembled warning signs about wild animals seen in the mountains, and stood out in Misaki for its one-of-a-kind originality. This was the Chinese restaurant, the Mad Bear. Aside from its name and logo, the restaurant was a type of cheap hole-in-the-wall dive that could be found anywhere. It faced competition from the ever-increasing number of chain restaurants, though it had managed to last longer than other dining spots, having received rave reviews on a regular basis. The Mad Bear prioritized the personal touch, focusing on its local clientele, and thus made a point to offer home delivery. It earned the affectionate moniker QKS, the Quick Killer Stop. Making these deliveries was Soujirou's responsibility for the time being. Well, that's a nice job for him at his age, doing delivery. Places in Misaki within cycling distance fall under his domain. Anything beyond that was handled by a more experienced staff member on the legendary 50cc King Salmon motorbike. But anyway, is that a Chekhov's gun? I wonder. I'll say.
ヤシロギのダチから聞いたんだけどな。
You'll never guess what a buddy in Yashirogi told me.
When delivery workers were not out on deliveries, they spent their shift bussing tables or washing dishes. The dinner rush was yet to come, and Soujirouu and his fellow delivery boys were shooting the breeze while washing dishes in the back.
聞いてるか、しずき。
Yeah, Suzuki.
聞いてるよ、木の実。
I'm listening, Konomi, I'm listening.
Two were elbow deep in a giant sink as they enthusiastically scrubbed. At least that was what they pretended to do while they gossiped.
和食のケニアだけじゃねえんだってよ。三崎町の大帝都にもメシアンにもその手の注文があったらしいぜ。
He said it's not just that Japanese place, you know, Kenya? Here at Imperial Metropolis and Masayan here in Misaki got orders too.
そんなに肉が欲しいなら下市に行けばいいのにな。なんだって生肉だの大物の鮭丸ごとだのを出前させやがるのか。
Are they trying to feed an animal?
I mean, if you want that much meat, just go to Shintachi. Man, who the heck orders raw meat and an entire salmon?
どうよ。こう露骨にヤバそうな話じゃねえ。
Yeah.
ワニとかアザラシでも飼ってるんじゃねえかな、そいつ。
I tell you, some weird shit going on in that place for real. Maybe they have pet alligators in there.
Oh, is it a monster? Are they trying to feed a monster? I wonder. Another possible Chekhov's gun.
他に比べてみると確かに珍しい話だと思う。ところで木の実、ワニってなんだ？
I've definitely never heard of an order like that before. What's an alligator?
ワニはワニだろう。だっせ、実物見たことないのかよ。まあ俺もねえけどな。
An alligator's an alligator, dude. You've really never seen one? I mean, I've never actually seen one in real life either, but even I know what an alligator is.
今度ガクガク動物ランドのアフリカ特集ビデオを貸してやるから見とけよ。
But Africa doesn't have alligators. Only China and America do. They have crocodiles, but I guess they're similar enough.
You know what? I'll lend you my tape of the world's most terrifying animals episode on Africa.
This was a familiar pattern of conversation between the two, especially now that Konomi was used to Soujirou's lack of general knowledge. Their banter was interrupted by the delivery phone. The manager snapped at the receiver and quickly jotted down the order and address. Once he hung up, everyone in the kitchen did their best to avoid making eye contact with him. Nobody wanted to go rushing out for delivery on such a cold day.
しずきくん、ちょっと遠いけど配達をお願い。
Suzuki, this one's a little far away, but I want you to handle it.
The manager singled Soujirouu out for the task, seemingly unfazed by his staff's laziness.
はい、これ届けるもののリスト。 異例だからあまり他のバイトには他言しないようにね。
Here's the order. And it's an unusual one, so keep it to yourself, okay?
Oh, it's this thing. All right. So it's one of those weird orders. We'll see what it says. The manager tore the sheet with the order and address written on it from his memo pad. Soujirouu took one look at it before a grimace quietly spread across his face.
マネージャー
Boss?
なんだい？
Yeah.
The manager stared right back at him as if he could tell what he wanted to say.
君の疑問はもっともだ。しかしまあ、長いことこの商売をやっていると、時にはこんなバカな話が転がってくることもある。
Look, I
そう
know
お
it.
かしなことじゃない。
Goddamn pauses.
Look, I know what you're thinking. But I've been in this business a long time. It's far from the strangest thing I've seen. It's no big deal.
じゃあ、冷蔵庫から品物持ってくるから。
No, but get this stuff from cold storage.
Soujirouu stared in admiration as the manager, dressed in black, marched out of the kitchen in his all-business way. Nowhere was free from the odd occurrence now and then.
Osoi!
You're late! It was after 10 at night. Soujirouu had taken a small detour on his way home from work, and now faced an outraged Aoko as expected. Seeing her so visibly irritated made him feel a rush of relief. He did not know why she was angry. He could tell it was a different type of anger than what he saw earlier that morning.
遅いってまだ10時になったばかりだろう。どうしたんだ青崎。
Really? But it's only a little after 10. Did something happen, Aozaki?
They really are already married. He set down the cardboard box he had been carrying in his arms and glanced toward the fireplace. The sleeping girl was there no more.
違うわ。もう10時になったの間違いでしょ。
It's not only a little after 10. You arrived after curfew.
あんたってほんと自分がどんな状態にあるか分かってないのね。
You've got no clue why I'm angry, do you?
Huh?
いいから今に来て。
Just come with me to the drawing room. She walked briskly to the other room without pausing, leaving Soujirouu standing in confusion, head tilted to one side. He proceeded to pick the box back up and followed after her eagerly. He removed his coat and hung it on a hanger as he entered the living room. Apparently today was one of those days where Alice kept herself locked away in a room. On the table were the familiar pillars.
説明しなかった私も悪いけど、あなたも帰ってくる時間は守ってよね。こっちはそのつもりで作ってるんだから。
It's partly my fault for not being more clear about this, but you need to come home on time. Your curfew exists for a reason. Aoko handed him the pills and a glass of water, with an expectant look on her face.
薬なら出かける前に飲んだけど、体の調子だって悪くないし、そんなに慌てることか？
But I already took the pills before I went out. And I feel fine anyway. I don't think I need any more pills today.
は？なんだって私たちがあんたの健康を気にかけなくちゃいけないのよ。
Excuse me? You think this has anything to do with how you feel?
勘違いしてるようだけど、あんたが帰ってくるたびに飲んでるのって、平たく言えば毒よ。
Really? Let's get real. These pills that you take every day when you come home? They're poison.
即効性じゃないから、効き目は半日すると出てくるんだけど、その前に新しい毒薬を飲んでおかないと、古い毒が体に回ってばったりいくって寸法ね。
Slow-acting poison, mind, and they take half a day to kick in. If you don't take more pills before that happens, the older person will kill you.
アリスのやつ、これぐらいしないと信用できないって言い張ったのよ。
This is how much rope Alice is willing to give you.
ほら、分かったらさっさと飲む。
Get it? So drink up.
ま、私もこれ面倒だと思うし。
I'm enjoying this just as much as you are.
近いうち、もっと形のある方法を考えてみるから、それまでこの方法で我慢して。
And until I think of a way around this, you're just gonna have to deal with it.
言ってることは支離滅裂だが、とにかく今まで良くないものを飲んでたんだな。
Maybe I misheard you for a second. Did you say that these pills I've been taking the whole time are actually bad for me?
Soujirouu took the pills from her and gulped it down. The fact that it was poison gave him no pause at all. And as for his roommate's tyrannical behavior, he showed no signs of standing up to it.
まったく、毒を持って毒を制するなんて、また古風な真似するな、青崎もアリスも。
Using poison to cancel poison. You two really are taking the old-fashioned approach, huh?
Oh my god. Just no big deal to him, eh? Wow. Sojirou's face relaxed into a smile upon finding the funny side of the situation. Alko was utterly dumbfounded as to how he could be happy at a time like this.
今日帰りが遅れたのは、アパートまで荷物を取りに行っていたからなんだ。そういうことなら、電話の一つでもすればよかった。
I was running late on the way home because I dropped by my old apartment to get all my stuff. You could have tried calling me if it was such a big deal, you know.
荷物って、まさかそれじゃないでしょうね。
Your stuff? Wait. Is that everything? Sojirouu nodded emphatically as she pointed incredulously at the cardboard box in his hands.
住んでいないのに家賃を払うのはバカらしいから、今日で引き上げてきた。一応、いつでも戻れるように話はつけてあるから、3ヶ月ぐらいは大丈夫だよ。
Oh wow, that's pretty smart.
It's stupid to pay rent when I don't even live there. So I thought I should move everything out. But I arranged it so I can go back anytime within the next 3 months.
家賃？
Rent?
あ、そっか。そうよね。私ってばなんでそんなことを忘れてたんだろう。アリスが聞いたら喜ぶわ、そりゃ。
Right! How could I forget? I'm sure Alice will be thrilled to hear about this. A smile blossomed across her face, as they say. It was the open, bold-faced look of a child who just came up with a mischievous plan. Oh my god! Soujirouu shook with fear at the thought of what that smile might bring his way.
けどずいぶん少ないのね、荷物。段ボール1箱分しかないの？
You sure don't have much. That one cardboard box contains all your worldly possessions?
そうかな。十分多いだろう。それよりアリスは自室か？
This is a lot to me. Is Alice upstairs?
ちょっと前に戻ったわ。珍しく食後もここに残ってたんだけど、待ちきれなかったみたいね。
She just went to her room, although she stayed at the dinner table longer than usual. I guess she got tired of waiting. She gives Soujirouu a meaningful look while continuing to smile that sinister smile.
待ちきれなかったって何を？
She got tired of waiting. For what?
そりゃあ、アリスが眠ってるのをいいことに、在庫のないフォションとブルーキャリコを勝手に使ってくれたどこかの誰かさんにお仕置きするためなんじゃない？
I imagine she wanted to punish whoever decided to use the last of her falchion and blue calico.
フォッションってあのお茶の葉？
Why do I know that name? I think Falchion is that brand of tea I used?
そう、私もびっくりしたけどね。アリスがどっかで寝入るのはよくあることだけど、 紅茶を用
Oh,
意して眠るなんてのは初めてだったから。
she doesn't know. It sure is. To be honest, even I was shocked when I first walked in. I know she falls asleep all over the mansion, but I've never seen her prepare tea first.
どんな心境の変化か知りたくて起こしたら、アリスの方が驚いてたわ。一体誰の仕業なんだって。
I woke her up to see if she was okay, and she was just as surprised as I was. I couldn't imagine who would do such a thing. Soujirouu clapped his hands together, as if remembering something important. Did he forget that he did it? He had forgotten to clean up the tea before leaving. The regret written from forehead to chin delighted Akko immensely.
そうか。それじゃあアリスは怒っていただろう。
I see. How mad was she?
当然。コマドリがとばっちりでドリブルされてたしね。
Pretty mad. Robin was all flutter about it too.
ああ、俺でも怒る。片付けをきちんとしないなんて、だらしないにも程がある。
Well, I'm mad at myself too, if that helps. I can't believe I forgot to take them back to the kitchen.
Soujirouu harshly scolded himself for his failure.
論点違う。あのね、寝顔を間近で見られたから怒ってるのよ、アリスは。
You dummy! She's mad at you because she sat and watched her sleep!
え？そうかな。アリスはそういうのは気にしないと思うんだけど。
Oh, I didn't think she would mind all that much.
あんたはそうかもしれないけど、私たちは気にするの。
Well, we do mind when you watch us sleep, just so you know! Akko's glare was enough to make glass shatter. There was an indescribable intensity in the way she said that.
それは青崎たち限定の話か？
You mean it's a personal pet peeve for you and Alice?
世間一般での常識よ。自分が気にしないからって他人もそうだと思ってると、いつかやけどするからね。
No, it's common sense. If you ever go around assuming that other people feel the same way as you, you're asking for trouble.
でもそれだったらロビーで寝ているアリスにだって問題ないか？見かけたら放っておけないだろう、あんなの。
Huh? But isn't it kind of her fault for falling asleep in the foyer in the first place? It'd be stranger if I saw her like that and didn't want to look out for her.
その心意気は立派だけど、そこはそれ。この館の持ち主は彼女だから。
Look, I appreciate that that's what you thought. But you just have to understand that that's how the lady of the house is.
この洋館内であなたが出会ったあらゆる不義不始末、失敗失態の責任は宗十郎に押し付けられるの。
While you live here, responsibility for any and all mistakes or bad judgment on your part will be laid at your feet and your feet alone.
この意味、わかる？
Do you get what I'm trying to say here? Akko's question sent Soujirouu into a trance of deep thought, till finally he uttered,
つまりここはアリスの自治領なんだな。
So in other words, I'm in Alice's kingdom now?
はい、よくできました。正確には私とアリスのだけどね。領主は何をやっても許されるってことよ。
Yes, congratulations! Although technically this kingdom belongs to both me and her, which means what we say goes. She smiled as she spoke and plopped herself down on the sofa. Soujirouu remained standing behind the sofa opposite her as she ran over their conversation again and again in his head. The notion of this being their kingdom made him realize he actually had no idea where the girls had come from or their family's background.
青崎、君ご両親はどうしてるんだ？
Where are your parents, Aozaki?
He inadvertently blurted out, this being the question foremost on his mind.
生きてるわよ。三崎町から下りに4駅行った東川ってところの地主。死は祖父だけど、今は隠居して両親と一緒の土地に住んでるわ。
They're alive and well. They own a place in Tokawa, 4 stops from Misaki. I learned everything I know from my grandfather, who is retired now and lives with them.
そう聞くとなんだか普通の家庭だな。
Huh. Sounds like a pretty normal family.
Soujirouu had imagined something far more outrageous for a family of magicians.
両親はね、父さんにはあんまり魔術回路は作られなかったみたいだから、その分私には2世代分の潜在能力があるって祖父は言ってるけど、どうだか。
Sure, as far as parents go. My father sucked as a mage. My grandfather says it skipped a generation so I get double the power. But I'm not so sure about that.
宗十郎の期待してるような一族はどっちかっていうとアリスの方よ。私と違って英国出身だからね、彼女。
I think Alice is more the type of family you're imagining. She's from England, you know. Alko offered nothing more, as is to suggest that was as far as she was willing to reveal it for now. Soujirouu had insisted on talking to Alice directly, rather than hearing things secondhand, so she has not to go back on his word by pushing the topic further.
ま、詳しくは本人から聞きなさい。アリスの紅茶好きもそこから来てるんだし。
Ask her if you want to know more. Now you know why she loves English blends of tea so much.
そういえば、なんで今日に限ってリーフティーなんか入れたの？ティーバッグを使った方がまだマシだったでしょうに。
Speaking of which, why'd you use tea leaves today of all days? You should have stuck to the tea bags.
青崎がそっちの方がいいって言ったじゃないか。アリスは紅茶にうるさいって。
But you said that the tea leaves taste better. And also that Alice is picky about her tea.
Alko was momentarily at a loss for words. He seemed so oblivious most of the time, but apparently he was attentive to some details, at least selectively.
ま、いいわ。それより明日の放課後だけど、また一人で帰ってくれない？
Just forget it. Anyway, think you can make it home by yourself tomorrow?
年明けの行事があるんだけど、その場しのぎで行った餅つき大会が通っちゃってさ。明日も忙しいのよ、私。
They accepted my proposal for a mochi making festival in New Year, so I'll be pretty busy with that. Soujirouu nodded in acceptance. In fact, he had already been planning to do so before she even asked.
それはいいけど、体は大丈夫か、青崎。昨日から寝てないだろう。
I'll be fine, but what about you? You haven't even slept since yesterday.
夕方に3時間ちょい仮眠を取ったから調子はいいわ。
Oh, I took a quick 3-hour nap earlier. I'll be fine.
そういうあんたこそ体は持つんでしょうね。もう少ししたら昨日の続き始めるわよ。
What about you for that matter? I hope you didn't forget about our session tonight. She meant the all-night cramming session, of course. Needless to say, Soujirouu is more than likely to struggle given that he too had not slept a wink. All he could do was give a relieved smile. He thought back to the days just after he transferred here. When she watched his every move from the sidelines and showed a startling amount of concern for him.
いいよ。どのみち苦労するのは青崎の方だし、異例中の異例はありがたく受け取っておくとしよう。
I didn't forget. And besides, it's tougher on you than me, Aozaki. I'm so glad to be your exception among exceptions.
Ah, that is so sweet! His cheery response grated on her just a little.
あんた、くだらないことだけはしつこく覚えてるんだから。
Wow. You manage to forget everything except the most irritating little details, don't you? She heaved her shoulders in exasperation and dropped her head as an excuse to look away from the beaming smile on his face. The following day, the last day of finals had ended without a hitch. That final December hurdle was finally a thing of the past. For all but one student, that is. To Soujirouu, the greatest challenge was yet to come. He bid farewell to his classmates, all jittery with excitement for the last day of term, and headed into the Shirinazuka woods. The road home was no different than yesterday, like he was reliving yet another day striding up that hill. Yet today, there was a fierce determination in steps. Today was his last chance, and he wanted nothing more than to talk to the girl. He did not care if she was cruel to him or ignored him, nor whether Aoko was being truthful when she said that she could trap him to Mirrorland or something like that. All he really cared about was having the chance to speak with her face to face. But nothing is ever that simple. To tell the truth, what he found upon finally entering the mansion was not wholly unexpected.
よく寝る子だな、本当。
She sure sleeps a lot.
Oh, again. The deja vu he was experiencing made him dizzy. Faced with an exact reenactment of the previous day, he could not help but blurt out what he was thinking. Alice was sleeping by the fireplace, just as she had done yesterday. The way her legs draped to one side resembled those of a princess in a children's book. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. She had looked more comfortable than she had the day before. Miraculously, he had a rare flash of insight that enabled him to read the situation more clearly.
学校で飛び丸は一人何をしているんだろう。
What could Tobimaro be doing at school on his own?
Upon glancing back at the entrance, he made his decision, took a deep breath, and rolled up his sleeves. If today was a reenactment of yesterday, then he's supposed to play along with that idea. Soujirouu removed his shoes and headed for the kitchen. He was off to prepare another ill-fated pot of tea. Again? Oh boy. Said she was angry about him using her precious Fauchan. This time we turned to Jackson's fruit and herb brew. Sadly, this was about as much as Soujirouu could manage to amend his behavior. He had failed to realize that— oh my god! Oh wait, really? He had failed to realize that it was not the brand of tea that landed him in hot water, but rather his incorrect brewing method. After filling the pot with tea, he carried back to the foyer. Oh no! His breath was visible in the cold air as he sat himself down by the fireplace. Soujirouu took a sip of the fruity tea he had prepared for himself and pulled his textbook from his bag. Exams were over now, but he had been instructed to take extra classes for the subjects from day one of school. Quite inevitable. The foyer was warmer than outside, but still far from comfortable. It was enough to make anyone yearn for some source of warmth. Soujirouu dove into his electronics textbook in the winter chill hall. The class was not very popular, which is why it had been recommended to him in the first place. The fact that everyone who took it started on equal footing made it more appealing to him than other classes.
けど、青崎の言う通り。
Ozaki was right.
And down the rest of the cup of tea, having no appreciation for its flavor, and refilled his cup. The tea was still warm since the ceramic teapot had excellent heat retention.
文字で物事を覚えるのは苦手みたいだ。
I can't seem to remember anything that's written down.
He vaguely recalled their conversation as his eyes advanced across the page. The lack of lighting in the foyer was forcing him to rely on illumination from the skylight. The light cut into the room at a diagonal angle, in such a way as to divide the foyer into light and dark areas, with the fireplace in shadow. The room resembled ancient ruins covered in ash. Or perhaps the quiet, forgotten world of a faded fairy tale. Time slipped on by within the white walls of this room, hidden away from the sun. The minutes passed slowly for some time until the sound of a textbook slamming shut brought the room back to reality. Soujirouu stretched his stiff back and eagerly got started on clearing up. He put his textbook back in his bag, placed his cup on the tray, leaving Alice sitting in front of her on the floor.
バイトの時間だ。
Well, time to get to work.
He said unceremoniously. He spoke as if to convince himself that he had no other choice, as he prepared to leave the sleeper foyer behind. But before he could, a sound behind him stopped him in his tracks. Ah, she woke up! He turned around with his bag under his arm and tray in his hands, so as not to cause even a ripple in her teacup. He greeted her.
Yeah.
Hey.
In a light, easygoing manner. She remained seated next to the fireplace, like a black-eyed sleeping beauty. Her face was as still as a statue, almost no different than it had been in slumber. Looking at Alice now, he realized just how different she and Aoko really were. Aoko communicated her feelings openly, even if he never could quite tell where they came from. Her trademark expression of irritation would keep him guessing as to the reason she was angry, but to her credit, her emotional state was always clear. Alice, on the other hand, was completely unreadable. She might be angry, or then again sad. He could not tell either way.
何のつもり?
What do you think you're doing? Her question gave him a sinking feeling in the pit of his stomach. He could not decide whether there was animosity or perplexity that he heard in her voice. If the former, this was likely to turn into a replay of their interaction from the other night. An image of the shattered bottle sprang to his mind. Soujirouu knew his response would be extremely important. After struggling for a few moments, he finally worked up the courage to say something. Just not the correct thing, unfortunately. Oh, God.
そうだな。一口じゃ説明できないから。座るよ。
Right. About that. It'll take a while to explain, so just let me have a seat first.
He He had no idea what the correct approach would be, so he simply did whatever came to his mind instead. She gave him no response. Her face said that she detested his presence, but he plowed ahead regardless. Soujirouu took a seat and set down the tray once more. Their eyes met. Her inscrutable gaze was enough to turn most people away. But the target of her animosity appeared not to notice it at all. Ah, there's the no thoughts head empty expression of Soujirouu. Oh my god.
それで何？
Yes.
ああ、遅くなったけど、こうして話がしたかったんだ、アリスと。
Well, I guess I should have done this a long time ago, but I've been wanting to talk to you about something, Alice.
Despite having suggested that it would take time to explain, he managed to sum things up succinctly.
私と会うことではなく、
Me. Not Aoko.
ん？そうだね。青崎とはもっと話したいところだけど、それよりは3人で話してみたい。
Huh? Well, I have lots to talk to Ozaki about. In fact, I think all three of us should sit down at some point.
Alice found herself out of kilter, unable to read his true intentions. Soujirouu continued on, failing to notice her bewilderment.
青崎は普段からアリスとは会話がないって言うんだ。それが俺のせいなら困るし、俺のせいじゃないならもっと困る。
Ozaki said you two rarely speak to each other. I'd feel bad if that's because of me, but I'd feel even worse if it isn't.
せっかく同じ場所にいるのに会話がないなんて、もったいないと思うんだ。
It's sad that we live together but never talk.
Each word he spoke was heavy with emotion. Alice remained utterly unable to discern the boy's intentions. All she could parse was that there was something he wanted from her. But what could that be? What she found even stranger was that he was not speaking to her from a place of fear.
あなたは私が怖くないの？
Aren't you afraid of me?
ああ、だってそう言えるほど、俺は君をよく知らない。
No. I don't know enough about you to be scared of you to tell the truth.
Her gleaming eyes looked like they were made of polished quartz. His response had not been what she expected. He spoke with pure honesty and unfettered truth. Such boldness, however, did not actually upset her. Their conversation ground to a halt. If you could even call it a conversation in the first place. Alice grew tense, as if displeased by the strangely comfortable moment of silence between them. Soujirouu endured her cold stare, showing no sign of flinching.
話。
Talk.
Huh?
私と話をしたいと言ったでしょ。
You said you want to talk to me?
なら好きにしてみたら。
So, be my guest. Whatever topic you'd like. It was more a challenge than an invitation. He had neither a topic on hand, nor were they intimate enough to strike up a casual conversation. Nonetheless, her challenge hanged in the air, waiting for a response.
じゃあ、あの鳥の話を。ほら、そこにいる青い鳥。
Well, what about that bird? The blue one over there.
たまに見かけるんだけど、君の飼い鳥か？
I see it every now and then. Is it your pet?
それともほら、なんて言ったかな。プロイだっけ？あの鳥もアリスの使い魔？
Or is it one of those, what are they called, ploys? A magical familiar?
Her eyes lit up for a moment, a very natural response. It was annoyance, such as that which one might feel towards a troublemaker.
あれもプロイだけど、私とは何の関係もないダッチョウ。ずいぶん古くからいるだけで、私もよく知らないわ。
Oh, interesting. Yes, it's a ploy, but the stupid bird isn't even mine. It's lived here longer than I have. I'm afraid I don't know much about it.
ん？
Really?
じゃあ勝手に住んでるのか？この家に。
You mean it just decided to live here of its own free will?
勝手になんて、私が許すはずがないでしょ。
Of course not. I would never have allowed such a thing.
ロビンは本当に役に立たないけど、あんなのでも母から譲り受けたものだから、失敗続きでも特別に住まわせてあげてるの。
Robin's useless, but I inherited it from my mother. As such, I permitted to continue living here, despite its constant failures and shortcomings.
そっか、安心した。ここに住むの、役に立たなきゃダメってわけでもないんだね。
I see. That's a relief. Here I was thinking I'm the only useless one in the house.
She turned away in silence to avoid looking at his hapless grin. Thus began Soujirou's very lengthy monologue. It started with his part-time job, then moved on to the school. Next came the amusement park and random gossip around town, and last the subject of rent. He spent all of 20 minutes on mindless small talk. Then he ran out of things to say and finally stopped.
ごめん、アルバイトがあるから、もう行くよ。
Sorry. I'm on the clock soon, so I should get going.
And that was that. After finally getting his long-awaited chance to talk to her, he realized he had no exit plan in place. So he returned the tray to the kitchen, placed his bag in the foyer, and headed for the door. She'd never seen the boy so candid. Which is why, overcome with surprise, she found herself calling out to him. Oh, wow.
待って。
Wait. She had no reason to do so, and yet she called out anyway.
ん？何？
Huh? Yes?
その、
It's just...
今日はポットがあったけど。
I saw the pot you used today.
あ、うん。昨日の反省点だったから。結局使ったのは自分だけだけど。
Ah, right. I wasn't gonna make the same mistake as yesterday. But I guess I'm the only one who drank any today, so...
そう。そのポットはコーヒーとの兼用だから。ハーブティーには合わないわ。
Well, that pot is normally used for coffee, so you shouldn't put tea leaves in it. Soldier's eyes grew wide with shock. Now remember that there have been all sorts of cups and teapots in the cupboard, each one specifically designed for a different type of tea.
なかなかに奥深い。
Who knew there was so much to brewing tea?
あれかな。慣れないことはするもんじゃないってことか。
I guess a beginner like me shouldn't mess with things he doesn't understand, huh?
She let out a vexed sigh.
どうして私を起こさなかったの？
Why didn't you wake me? Either she had not heard what he said, or she had been waiting this whole time for a chance to ask him that. In any case, her question abruptly interrupted his stream of thought. He fell silent with introspection. The thought of waking her had not so much as crossed his mind either that day or the previous.
言って。
Tell me.
起こす気も起きることも期待していなかったのはなぜ？
You didn't wake me. Did you expect me to just keep sleeping? Her eyes were filled with animosity. Lies were useless against such an all-piercing gaze. The setting sun transformed the foyer into a battle of life and death. Lies or deceptive answers would not be permitted. Amidst the palpable tension that filled the room, where any move wrong or otherwise was likely to get him killed, he felt pain rather than fear. Alice's voice was icy cold, preemptively rejecting any response he was to give. The boy vaguely imagined a newborn chick that had fallen from the nest, struggling to survive on its own. It gasped, hanging onto a thread of hope, yet detesting where that thread hung.
言わなきゃいけないか
Do you really want to know?
Alice nodded sharply.
じゃあ言うけど別に深い考えがあったわけじゃない単に寝た子を起こすのは良くないだろ
Fine, but it's not especially meaningful or anything. I think it's just rude to wake someone who's asleep.
冗談は聞いてないわ。
I have no time for jokes.
冗談じゃないよ眠っているのならそのままでいいと思ったんだ話はしたいけどそれはまた目が覚めた次の機会にするべきだって
That is the truth. I just thought I should let you sleep. I really wanted to talk, but I decided to wait until next time we saw each other.
随分と悠長なのね。青子があなたを守るのは今日までだって聞いているけど。
How sweet of you. That reminds me. Aoko's protection over you ends today, doesn't it?
私に取り入る機会はこれが最後なのに。
That makes this your last chance to win me over.
それとも、あれだけ忠告されておいて、まだ何も分かっていないの。
So have you or have you not learned your lesson? Hmm? He had not. He swore to her, agreed to her terms, and gone as far to sit face to face to her there to get to know her. Surely, he thought, this was enough to escape death. And she believed as a mage that his naive goodwill and simple-mindedness were all the reasons she needed to execute him. Trivial misunderstandings would only make things worse at this point.
そりゃ何もわからないよ魔術とか魔法とかたった数日でわかるもんか
What lesson? What am I supposed to have learned? All this magic and magecraft stuff is way over my head.
はっきりしているのはアリスも青崎も言ったことはきっちり守るってことだけだ
All I know is I've done everything you and Aozaki has asked of me.
なら、どうして？
Then why? Her gaze said what she really wanted to ask. She wanted to know why he did not beg for his life. She knew the answer. She saw the look on his face when he turned to leave without someone just trying to wake her. A look of resignation. What on earth had it meant?
どうしてってそう言われても困る
What do you expect me to say?
そうだな機会が訪れなかったのならそれはそういうことだと思ったのかもしれない
I thought if the opportunity didn't present itself, then so be it.
君の寝顔はそれぐらいなんていうか判断に困った青崎とは違う意味で簡単には関われないと思ったんだ
When I saw you sleeping again, I didn't know what to do. You're not exactly the easiest people to approach, you and Aozaki. Though Aozaki is a little different.
Soujirouu struggled to find the right words, but said what he was feeling in the moment anyway. He had seen a sleeping witch of the wood who clearly needed someone's help, yet sought the help of no one.
そう。でも、しずきくんは関わろうとしているのね。
But here you are trying to approach me anyway,
その機会は訪れなかったのに。
even though the opportunity never presented itself.
機会はやってきたよなんでこっちも今日ぐらいは自分の勝手にして無茶をしたくなったんだ
Ah, but it did. That's why I decided to do things my way today, even if nothing could go right to begin with.
しずきくんの言う通りなら、私はあなたを拒絶するしかないのに。
You talk as though you've always expected me to reject you.
まあそこが難しいところなんだけど。
Yeah, I guess it's hard to explain.
Soujirouu glanced at the entrance. He had no reason to. He just felt an urge to do so.
多分そこを解決したがってるのは俺だけじゃないと思うよ。
I doubt I'm the only one who'd like to see the situation solved.
He muttered as if speaking to himself, but it was clearly meant for her to hear. Alice knew full well how poorly he had understood the situation. All of this was one giant misunderstanding on his part. His tiny gestures of goodwill, pitiful and pure, resembled that of someone reaching out to help a dying kitten. For Alice, doing so would be akin to clutching the thorns of a rose. She felt pain in her chest for the first time in quite a while.
けど、私はあなたの同居を認めてはいないわ。
I still don't want you in the mansion. She adjusted the floor at her feet to avoid showing him how she truly felt. If he had, he would seen that her face looked just the way Ako's had earlier.
だろうな。それはきっと今は解決できない問題だ。
I'm sure you don't. And I doubt that'll change anytime soon.
でもそのうち何かの気まぐれであっさり終わるものかもしれない。だからその時までアリスはずっと俺を嫌っていていいんだと思う。
But that doesn't mean we can't work something out. It's okay if you keep hating me in the meantime.
Her gasp of breath was like a response in itself. To suggest she could keep hating him. She had once wished to hear those words so dearly, if only the once.
大体だぞ。アリスだけじゃなく、青崎も同居を認めてない節があるじゃないか。
I mean, you're not the only one. That goes for Ozaki too. I don't think she wants me here either.
だから認めてもらうなんて意気込み自体が間違いなんだ。どうあっても俺は青崎や君たちとは違うんだし。
Expecting to feel welcome would be a big mistake on my part. We're fundamentally different people, and that's never gonna change.
となると、あとは我慢してもらうしかない。
I just want you to tolerate me.
難しい話だけど、一緒にいても邪魔にならないぐらいなら、その可能性は上がらないか？
I know it's a lot to ask, but is there a way I could live here without bothering you too much?
Thinking that, of course, it was possible. But if it were that easy, none of this would have been necessary in the first place. Alice nodded in agreement. There was no way he could have planned for things to work out this well. But his plan, in fact, had worked, if inadvertently, from the moment the conversation began.
例えば、
Damn, high charisma.
あなたが隣にいても眠っていられるぐらいに。
She doesn't understand the concept of people being nice. Like, for no reason. What a world she must have grown up in. My God. You mean, so that I can sleep undisturbed, even with you sitting right next to me?
そうだね。例えばの話。
Sure, why not?
Damn. Beaming, Soujirouu stood up and left the foyer. Alice did not stop him this time. Ah. All right, you guys. I'm going to have to save it here for today. That was great. He was able to win over Alice. Yeah, his charisma is crazy. My God. That is very sweet. All right, you guys. We will continue this next time in 2 days. And of course, tomorrow's trails. But until then, I will say, so long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, good night. Yeah, exactly. It's Belle taming the beast. There are two beasts in this case. You're all the sweetest of hearts.